The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has reiterated his demand for U.S. security guarantees before it can sign a peace deal with Russia. His statement comes ahead of talks with Russia and the U.S. scheduled for next week in Geneva. Now, speaking at the annual Munich Security Conference, Zelensky asked security guarantees for a minimum of 20 years from U.S. to sign a peace deal with dignity. He also called for a clear date for Ukraine to be allowed to join the European Union.
We are working with all our partners on security guarantees. As I have said, we are very close to finalizing this project. Today we met with senators and expressed our strong desire to conclude the agreement, and we want to increase the duration of these security guarantees so they are more effective for investors. We just had a meeting with investors and business leaders, and they require guarantees that extend beyond 5 to 10 years. Currently, we have a proposal from the American side for 15 years, but we are pushing for 20 years plus, 30 or even 50 years.
Zelensky revealed that Washington kept returning to the topic of concessions too often, and that those concessions were discussed only in the context of Ukraine and not Russia. He went on to say that withdrawing from Ukraine's own territory in the Donetsk region would be, quote-unquote, a little bit crazy.
We can't withdraw from our territory or exchange our territory, one piece to another piece of our territory. It's something a little bit crazy. Sorry.
In his address, Zelensky also condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin as a slave to war, adding that Russia's attacks had damaged every power plant in the country. He drew parallels between the current Russia-Ukraine talks over territorial concessions and the 1938 Munich Agreement, when Hitler forced territorial concessions from the European powers. The Ukrainian president also met with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the sidelines of the security summit. According to the Ukraine's presidential office, both leaders focused on the situation on the battlefield, Russian attacks, and the damage caused to Ukraine's energy infrastructure. And on the other hand, Poland has demanded a seat for Europe in the ongoing trilateral talks between U.S., Russia, and Ukraine. Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski said that Europe deserves a seat at the negotiating table on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, as they were, quote-unquote, paying for the war.
We are buying American weapons to be delivered to Ukraine. There is no package in the US Congress, and that there isn't even the prospect of a package. If we are paying, if this is affecting our security, not just Ukraine's, then we deserve the seat at the table, because the outcome of this war will affect us.
Now, parallel to this, U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matthew Whitaker said that China had the power to end the war Russia was waging on Ukraine. He added that the conflict was being enabled by China, and China could call Vladimir Putin and end the war, quote-unquote, tomorrow. Now, on the war front, Ukraine has claimed to have destroyed half of Russia's stockpile of the coveted Panzer air defense system. The Alpha unit of Ukraine's security service, SBU, said that it undertook the systemic destruction of the air defense system with the strategic goal of making Russia vulnerable to long-range strikes.